a Trumpster, motherfucker.
Yes, and welcome once again to the Unanimous Authority. That's right, we are the authority on all things in our home league. As we said, I think we're back for the fourth season. By popular or unpopular demand, we're unsure, but we'll continue to go until we can clarify that. And as I do every week, I have to introduce my co-host, our commissioner, Blair. Welcome.
All I do is win, and if you going in,
Boys, welcome in.
Yep. Well, both on the winners list, Blairy, this week. So I think we're pretty
Huge.
happy coming into the studio today.
I'm thrilled. I haven't had that kind of start in fantasy in a few years, and I give you the hot tip. I've been sleeping well. Like the stress
better.
has been down. There hasn't been sleepless nights. It's just been like people have been asking me about fantasy, and I've just been like, oh, do whatever. I'm good. Just very relaxed over here at the Worm Squad.
I like
And
it.
yeah, off to a good start, 1-0. Had a good score.
Very different wins by you and me. You obviously, I think, top score for the week.
Yep.
Against
Clearly, too. I think 20 points ahead.
20 points ahead. Who's your verse?
Andy, and he had the third best score of the week, the poor bastard.
So, yeah, good win by you. Andy coming up short there, but probably nothing to worry about given quite a healthy score to start. Although I do think a lot of his score was kicker and D, wasn't it? You mentioned Andy might have just...
Andy did, yeah.
He's stroking his waiver wire work.
He did message me the other day saying I was the only one that didn't take a kicker and a D in the preseason draft. And he picked up the kicker and the D on, I think it was the Saturday, Arvo, and they scored 40 combined.
40 points, yeah.
So that's huge.
Well done.
And he thinks he's a king of fantasy at the moment, Andy. Like he whether it's dynasty, redraft, he thinks he's really just ready to just launch into the stratosphere of the elites.
Yep. I like it. Guys, get confident. He's got confident about him, a bit of swagger, chests out. So hopefully he doesn't get to win this week. We'll go through matchups later on. But yeah, well done to you. My win, very different. I was putting up a very bad score, Blairy, but this is what I love.
Very sneaky matchup, that one, wasn't it?
It's the twists and turns of the gods. Last year, couldn't buy a win, put up a good score, getting pumped. I put up an average score and I got the win against what I mean. I'm sure everyone is in agreement that it's got to be this week's Stinky Stink, Blair. Hit him with it. Give it to me.
Ready for it?
No, give it to me.
uh-oh, stinky.
Very stinky.
Very good.
Gibbo. All sorts of trouble this week, putting up, 70 points, Larry, is it's down there at the all-time worsts sort of scores.
And I'm just going to put this to the people. When during the week you threaten the gods of fantasy and you tell the gods that they can suck you off, directed towards the god, what more can you ask for? A 70 banger. That's as low as it gets. That's as low as shark shit.
We said at the time, originally he was saying that we should be able to, with the new ESPN touchdown taunt feature, we should also be able to taunt when an opposition player gets injured. Hey, don't anger the gods. And then he came back even more aggressively and said that they can suck him off. So hopefully
he deserves, really.
He needs some midweek sacrifices. He needs to find some goats.
I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow, when I arrive at the Gibsons to get my work van, if I saw Gibbo at the end of the bed with a mat,
praying.
Just trying to get back in the good book.
He's got to get him back on his side.
Yeah.
Other matchups, Blairy. Ty Millard put up a 121 to beat Kitch on 108.
Ty is a good start always. Ty's a good starter in fantasy.
I've said that we've been speaking about this recently. That 120 threshold, if you can go above 120, you give yourself a chance. If you go under that, you got to be relatively lucky to get a win.
And what is it again, Aaron? So you want to be averaging 12 points per
12
player.
points per player. Now, it averages out amongst all your skill positions, and sort of you're going to expect a little bit less from your kicker in D, which should probably be picked up
Quarterback.
by your two quarterbacks. They'll probably average above that. But if you can stay on pace for an average of 12 points per player, that hits that 120 mark, it means you're giving yourself at least a chance. Not a sure thing, but you got to go above 120 to more often.
These are the tidbits, I reckon, that have cost us winning the last few years, because we're giving away a lot to our viewers.
Absolutely.
And these sort of little hidden stats are very useful. And I just think that there's a point where we're giving away too much, but for the people and the likes and the subscribers, we've got to do it.
Absolutely got to do it. I mean, guys are already picking up on this. I know we spoke to Perds. We'll go to another matchup, Perds versus AMAC. Now, AMAC did come out on top, but after the Saturday game with Philly, Perds was in all sorts because Sack one had just dropped a billy on him. But in speaking to Perds, I was saying he still was just on that 12 points per player.
Yes.
No, Sack one had gone off. So in with a chance. Monday football rolled around and AMAC put up a pretty healthy score of 134 to beat, again, Fat Stacks on that 110. So really solid start from AMAC as well.
I made Cam came over to watch the game on the Saturday morning, and I made him a nice latte, and he's sitting there.
Good by you.
Thank you. Yeah.
The old coffee making.
Sitting there in the first quarter with a big grin on his face because Jalen Hurts was on -2. Saquon had done nothing. And did he have someone else? Was it just those two? Whatever it was through half a quarter, and he was in the negative. Cam was he was in very good areas. About an hour later, he was as low as shark shit yet again, and he'd sunk it into the couch.
That's what that's twists and turns of fantasy, the ups and downs, the peaks and the troughs. But Perds is going to need to do a little bit of work. And then another very similar matchup. I think it was sort of our consensus questionable team. Dak Tua, Timmy Code, put up a healthy 130 to beat Jack Attack on 110. So across the board, quite a few sort of low scores.
A lot of low scores.
I would say a couple of peak scores. So guys in the 130, you up at 150, I think. Where the areas we sort of see. But as we'll get to, some low scoring from a fantasy perspective as far as totals. Those are the matchups. 5 winners, 5 losers out of week 1. But Blair, we're both on the winners list. So it's happy days. Happy days for the time being. With that, we need to jump into some news and notes, Blair.
We do. And probably the only sound effect that I don't have.
That's all right.
That'll work.
That'll work. Crack my drink. Blairy, news and notes from around the league. Is there anything worth bringing up?
49ers, I'd say, probably the biggest one with Jordan Mason. Is it Jordan Mason?
Is it?
I don't know his first name.
Jordan Mason?
I think it's
Jared Mason?
Whatever it was, he found out
that's how much we know
that he was starting last Friday. And the word is on the street that he's in deep poop since he brought that up on national TV after the game. So
it is Jordan.
CMC out, late out. Obviously, the Niners knew what was going on, but that's just detrimental to anyone in fantasy, in football, and everything. Like betting was suspended for an hour. Like shit was going all over the shop.
They will be in big trouble. There will be a fine, I have no doubt, if they can prove that was the case. But they could also pass it off as just a overexcited, undrafted free agent, with a little bit of word vomit. Yeah. But that was big news, massive news. And I think the news ongoing will be, does it linger? The old baby cow / Achilles.
Achilles tendonitis has now been confirmed.
Oh, boy. Tendonitis we don't like to hear, Blair. You were telling me today you've experienced that before in your elite athletic life.
As an explosive athlete myself who can, through the legs, dunk it, windmill, hammer, whatever you want. Just get it up there and bang it down. It's not something you just lack push. And as the explosive white athlete that I am, when you lack push and you get a bit scared, you're just almost waiting. You're just waiting for a little bit of a tug at the back, and then what was that? And then it's gone.
Yeah, you don't want that.
So, as someone in CMC's area, as explosive as he is, and a premium athlete, just an athletic machine at the running back position, that's not a good sign.
And based on what we saw on the weekend, yesterday, not the weekend, if you're Shanahan and the broader coaching and training staff, do you rush him back?
No.
Do you get it right?
No.
Easy win. I feel like they're in a position where they can do that. So definitely one to watch in the coming weeks.
In previous years, we've seen too, before they had CMC, Shanahan's system has always supported running backs. No matter who it is, they've always been very good at fantasy. So if he slots in and does that, what are they rushing? If they go, fuck, let's give CMC 3 more weeks. Like, why do they need to rush him back if Mason's crapping out 120 yards and a tutty?
Absolutely. Any other news, Larry?
Yeah, other news, we'll say Puka, which is disappointing for Cam, going on IR with a PCL.
Came in with the knee.
Had the bursa, had a bit of a bursa sack preseason in the knee, and
Aggravated.
I must have aggravated, and just another impact, and the PCL's gone. I'm not happy with that.
It was an innocuous event. He just sort of fell onto it.
Yeah, very.
Come back, so
Very.
tried to come back.
Got a couple other little things, but probably nothing too.
Nothing major. It's early. No big news.
Mac Andrews, 9 years, 12 million. Wowee.
Big money.
I am the captain now. Sort of stuff.
Absolutely. All right, Blair. Let's get into the big news of the day, really, which is the
5, 55, 55, 55, no, say no, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, 59, 60, 60, 60, 60, 1, 1, now, 60, 1, now, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 8, 4, 6, 4, now, 4, now, 5, 5, now, 4, 4, 4, now, half, 64, 4, now, 5, 5, 5, 65, 5, 5 now, quarter.
It's one of the best clips I've ever run with that.
I like that. That's a good one.
I'm going to save that one.
Upgrade from your side. Waiver wire, Blair, it's always everyone's favourite part of a Wednesday evening. Happens early this time of year, which is great. Love that. And normally we've got a little bit of a wait, Blair, but it was flipped. 5 minutes past the hour. Bang. There it is.
Flipped. So I'm in 3 ESPN leagues, and our leagues always run last because our league's been so old. We have a very early league code.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I during the week turned our league to public just so I could add in a setting onto like an external page.
Yes.
And it pushed us to the front of the queue.
There you go. So ours
was 2 minutes past 5. My other league rolled at 5:55. So that's how much in between.
I wasn't even looking. The message comes through. I thought I'm going to wait till 5:30. Nothing will happen. Bang! There it is.
Yeah. Let's begin. We rolled off the top, and I'm just trying to find the first.
Your mate Jared Mason.
Jordan Mason got picked up by Jack Attack for 40 clams.
Wow,
dropped AD Mitchell. Said see you later.
I had to double check that. I had to double check that it was Jack.
So did I. I was a bit, and look, I thought Gibbo is the kind of guy that's too proud to admit that he's wrong. And I thought he's definitely going to be lowballing here, and it's whether anyone else has a go. And he just didn't. I think Gibbo went $25 from the offer line.
I mean, a gut feel for me, 25 just isn't going to get it done. No one else bid though. Oh no, there's a $20 bid from Jersey Sales as well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think this is more of an indictment on Gibbo than a positive move for Jack. I like the move for Jack, and I like that he's not being a tight ass for once and spending his fab money, which he never does. And he said to me today on the phone, he's like, I'm going to spend all my money in the first 6 weeks because I'm only good in this first 6 weeks, and then I turn to dust.
This
and
is
I said, well, maybe because you've never got a fab fucking player.
Maybe it's an evolution. He's starting to build out a bit of depth. I mean, Jordan Mason, from what we saw yesterday, if CMC's not playing,
running back one,
even if he gets some carries, he's involved in a split, maybe when he's coming back. He was good. He led the league in broken tackles.
Very good.
He looked explosive, looked great. And again, it's in a system that is nice to running back. So I think a great pickup given the injury cloud over CMC. Gibbs put the bid on, so he sort of made an admission of, well, maybe I could use him, but hasn't really gone high enough to cover that, which I find interesting because, again, very startable. If CMC's in, he's great. But if CMC goes down, that's a plug and play straight in Jordan Mason.
Can you, I know this is worst case, but what if CMC comes back in 2 weeks and gets put in the pup because his Achilles is fucking like this is not. That's a running back one, and Gibbo's season's done.
Yep.
I'm not he could still fine, make something work. But if he loses CMC and doesn't get to replace him with a similar sort of setup, he's done. And there was one ready to go.
He thinks he's found J.K. Dobbins to give him some coverage, but he's also got the guy from Jacksonville,
Etienne.
He's got Etienne as well, and who's looking split backfield. So the coverage just gets a little bit murky versus if you had Jordan Mason. You have the opportunity to at least consider it as a straight swap if CMC's out. So big move by Jack, change up. I like the change up in his philosophy and approach.
Yep.
He's got a bloke that you maybe even next week you can plug him in. I don't know if CMC is going to play. No one does. So we'll see.
On to the next one, yourself, the supercomputer. $17, quite a big spend here for a man named Jalen Wright, running back for the Miami Dolphins. He would be probably their fourth string at their moment. Drop Daniel Jones, who is cat piss. Look, I didn't mind the ad. I put a bit on myself of 0, but I didn't mind the ad because I think he could be useful if Achane or Mostert miss time, because he's a very similar back. He's very speedy. But I thought you could have just chucked $3 on him. No one would have got him.
Well, I mean, in hindsight, I could have.
Yeah.
I wondered. I mean,
did you think people were adding him, like putting a bit of coin down?
No, well,
Inactive last week.
I thought Purds might have a go because Purds has Achane. Both Achane and Mostert are on the injury designation already.
Yep.
We know they haven't had a proven good track record of staying healthy.
Yep.
And I think Jalen Wright, yes, he was a healthy sit last week, but I think that's more to do with matchup. They've got the Achane, they've got Mostert. They cover it with a couple of bruises as well because they used Wilson as well as they got some fullback they throw in there. If either Mostert or Achane miss, I think Wright comes in and becomes that second fiddle or certainly a third part of the three-way rotation.
I think
one thing to remember is that he's not the Achane cover here. I think he's the Mostert cover. He runs a 4.3 something and he's 210 pounds. Yeah. He's fucking huge. So he'll be the guy up the guts up the middle.
He had a good preseason.
I did it this week because if one of those guys miss them, and I don't know, watching the game back, it was interesting. He got Mostert got tackled into like a gang tackle and 3 blokes fell on top of him. Yeah. And after that, we didn't see much of him. And that was when Achane got like his goal line carries and everyone started going crazy saying he's taking the goal line carries over Mostert. I think Mostert's hurt. They've said chest, but I reckon it might be AC or shoulder or something.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what's going on with Achane, but at the end of the game, he limped off a little bit. They're saying ankle, but
ankle with Achane.
It looked like his leg went back a bit further than you want your leg to go back. So I don't know.
Both those guys are historically made of fucking wet paper as well. So
I brought Jalen Watt in. I'm happy to hold on to him for a few weeks, especially to see how those guys go health-wise. And I did say to you, Bleary, yes, he was an inactive, healthy inactive this week. Who was a healthy inactive last year in week 1?
Achane.
So they've got no problem sitting those guys as part of sort of development or mix early on. But I think he'll definitely get a run at some point when one of those guys has to sit for a week or longer.
On to the next one. Gibbo got active. $4 bid for Tank Bigsby.
You've missed a big one here.
What have I missed on mine?
You've missed the one that
sorry. I'm just going through. The order. Apologies.
My order is in spend order.
Oh, I wonder why. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, continuing.
Isaiah Likely.
We'll go. Okay, we'll fucking do it your way. Isaiah Likely, you've come in. I told the boys who's going to spend enough to knock Aaron off his perch because I knew it was one of the easiest calls that you were going to spend on him. You needed him because
I didn't even deny that I was going to.
Yeah, you needed him, and I think you just had to spend that amount of money. You got him by $4 over AMAC, so don't want to play. They're going to run 2 tight end sets most of the year. Likely is explosive. Just hopefully he gets enough work still. But that could have been his biggest game for the year. But he had a lot of games like 15, 16 last year, which is plenty for a tight end as well.
Yeah, I think he's a startable tight end, which is what I need with Njoku.
Yeah. Again, I think pretty easy. Not much needs to be said.
He can have some pop-off games like that. I'd like him in my side. Plus, he's one of the boys, so always good to get the boys in. But yeah, had to spend big to get him. So yeah, I was happy to see that I didn't spend that sort of money with no one else bidding. But yeah, there was a couple of other guys who had a swing.
Bit of a strange waivers this year, I reckon, compared to previous. Hasn't not really that guy that someone's willing to stick $86 on, or like there's not really there anything
No,
like that.
not this early. It means this early. Give it a month and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Gibbo's brought in Tank Bigsby $4, dropped Chubba Hubbard.
Well, that one surprised me. Cody's been talking all week about Bigsby.
Cody called me this afternoon. Called me this afternoon and said, "I can't believe I didn't go for Tank Bigsby." I said, "Tim, you've been going for Tank Bigsby for fucking 18 months now. What's he done for you?" He's obsessed with Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby. To be fair, Tim's bench is actually pretty solid, so it would have been a real headache.
He would have his third handcuff on his bench.
Yeah, another handcuff on the bench. So, but he had been talking about it earlier in the week, so I was surprised to see no bid go against it. But Gibbo's brought him in. Gibbo's brought in the wrong handcuff, but won it for $4, so not too much to spend there.
He's brought in his own handcuff for Etienne, and obviously Gibbo's very worried because Etienne is now on his bench, if you've noticed his starting lineup.
Yes, he wasn't happy with what he saw.
Which I find very humorous. Maybe everyone needs to buy low on him right now.
Reach out. See if he'll trade. Jack, maybe you can trade Mason.
Yeah, so Gibbs gone that way. Jersey sales dropped Saints D, brought in Ravens D for $4.
There was a couple of bids on that. Me for $3, missed.
Yep.
Good matchup this week. Strong D, so well done.
You've brought in.
He's also the waiver master, so the waiver master on the streaming side.
That is cool. That is it. You're right. You've come in and brought in Jags D for $1. Drop Bengals. Just another stream. Few boys streaming. I
do like they played the highest rate of man coverage in like 2 years.
Yeah, because everyone plays zone now.
Yeah, they played it was a high 70 or 80% man coverage against the Dolphins.
Worked.
And they held them pretty well. So their coach, Ryan Neeson or something, he's a bit of a lad by the looks of him. So I like what I'm seeing for the Jags, and I'm happy to bring them in as a stream, especially against the Browns, who looked.
Well, I've gone the Chargers because they're versing the Panthers.
Smart, very smart.
And I spent a few bucks on that because I thought that's a good start, and I like what the coach Harbaugh is bringing, and I think that defense already, like they had 5 sacks last week, and the pressure was immense. Like their defense was always good, but their defensive coach was fucking useless. So I think Harbaugh is going to get the most out of him. And I just thought for this weekend, I kept my other defense, so I'm rostering 2 defenses right now.
Who's your other defense?
Cleveland Browns still, because I thought against Dallas last week, that second half they shut them out.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to drop them yet because they got a few good matchups coming up.
2 Ds, interesting.
Yeah.
Chargers are a great stream for this week, definitely.
Then Ibo has brought in Colts D, drop the Falcons D. That looks like a post waivers move.
Or he had the Colts, I think. He picked the Colts up on waivers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, he picked the Colts up, yeah.
And then he's dropped them.
Has he dropped them again? No, he's got them up.
No, he's still got them, the Colts.
Yeah.
Who are the Colts playing?
The Colts are playing the Green Bay Packers, which have Malik Willis now at quarterback. So that's not a bad play.
Not a bad play. The only thing that concerns me about the Colts is I love the matchup, but their secondary shit, and they just had someone in their secondary as well. So play there really is going hard after well, not a rookie, but a very untenured quarterback coming into a new system. So, yeah.
And then finally, the People's Republic of North Korea, Kim Jong-mak, has actually come in and swung late here, pissed off at the world because I think he missed on 4 waivers. He bid on everything, got within a few dollars of a few and just kept missing. And he's come in 40 minutes after waivers has run and just gone, well, fuck, I've got to do something here, boys. And he's brought in the tight end, Colby Parkinson, who actually ran the most routes out of any tight end last week.
Colby Parkinson. I remember I was watching the game with Gibbs saying that this fucker's huge. Every time he caught it, it looked like Shaq out there. Big man who they're paid to get there. We know they're going to be some targets vacated by Puka. So I like to pick up. I think the interesting thing with AMAC, though, is he's rostering 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is that Jack still has Ferguson and no backup tight end.
I haven't not noticed that. Let me have a look.
I believe that was the case. So Ferguson, who I think it's good news with his knee.
Yeah, you're right. You
He's
are
still not,
dead right.
he's still not going to play this week.
No, they're saying he's a chance.
To play?
Yes.
Jesus. That's a risky one even if he
Oh,
does.
absolutely. No, they've got him. They've got him as a genuine, like, limited practice.
Okay,
Unbelievable.
well,
He looked
maybe
like he got looked like his ACL.
if Jack's going to ride that out, then all power
Yeah.
to him. I thought he was definitely going to sit for a little while.
And that is waivers, boys, and just for the fun of it.
Four now, 4 now, has 84, 4 now, 5, 85, 5 and a half, 5 now, quarter now, 5, 75, now, 75.
See you next week, boys.
You like that? You like that one? Well, I've got one now, Blair, for our next segment that the guys are going to love. So before we get into it, let's hit him with the theme song. Bring it in. See if anyone can pick it before we get to it. Yes. Our segment this week is called Upside Down or Right Side Up. Blairy, because as I have mentioned one or two times
Fucking hell.
within our message this week,
If I search upside down in our group feed searching, it comes up with 50 million search things. It's just
we're living in the upside down. We're living in Wonderland. We're living in an alternate reality. And that's what week one's become, especially the last two seasons. I wondered if last year was a bit of a blip, but it looks like a trend. Very weird, Blairy. Very weird. So in this segment, I'm just going to bring up a few things, and I want you to help us decide and discuss whether it's upside down or right side up. Okay?
Happy with that?
Firstly, I want to start off with a couple of proven performers who came out and had big weeks, who a lot of the league, to varying degrees, shied away from early for different reasons, and they put up bang scores. And I want to know from you if they're upside down or right side up. Josh Allen, he put 31 points on the board. Were we living in the upside down this year, and that's a false positive, or is that right side up, and he's just as good as he's ever been?
I think it's as complete right side up as you get. The man looked like the MVP in that game, and I just look at the draft board now and go, how the fuck did he get to pick 5? Because it could be the end of many teams that didn't. It could be myself, Gibbo, yourself, AMAC. Could have been one of the silliest things we've all done.
Could be the absolute steal of the draft. He looked incredible. So,
yeah.
Okay, we're calling that one right side up. I tend to have to agree, but I'll disagree. I'll say it's the upside down with my fingers crossed that, that is the case. The other one I've got, upside down or right side up, Saquon Barkley travelled over to Brazil and just went bang. 3 touchdowns, 100 and something yards, a few catches.
It must have been he would have seen some nice behinds there. G-string.
Oh, yeah, really got
it. And the man, I'm assuming, has a fair bit of it on. So I reckon they put him in real Fingers Watson territory. And he's probably really just performing for the crowd. But no, I think I watched that game in depth, and I thought he was fantastic. And their offensive line was still good enough. They had a few hiccups, but they overcame them. And the fact that Alex has Hurts and Barkley on the same team, when those boys get within 10 yards, AMAC's getting 6 points. I'm telling you, 10 yards away and put 6 points on AMAC's team. Doesn't matter who it is, he's getting 6 points.
Touchdown torn.
Yeah. So that's going to be not technically a stack because it's a running back, but it's just going to be a red zone stack, realistically.
Total ownership of the scores there.
But no, I think Barkley, I think he was a bit underrated in our preseason draft. Probably needed to go a smidge higher, and he looks as good as he's ever been. But now he's actually playing behind a fucking offensive line, which looks like that was his issue the last 4 years, was playing behind a bunch of spuds.
Yep.
So, no, right side up for that, Aaron.
Right side up for Saquon.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I think as long as he stays healthy in that team, looked very scary, and they looked really willing to get him involved. So, really liked it. Blairy, it was a historic day and weekend for a certain positional group. I think within our league, there's 4 of them in the top 15 total scorers for the week. Upside down or right side up, kickers.
My
Big
name
score.
is Kim Jong Mak.
25 plus. It was, a ginormous weekend for kickers.
Look, I think it is the upside down to an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent. I just think the way the ball's moving early on, I think it is going to be a very juicy kicker season. It's going to come back. You cannot have, how many guys over 20 did we have?
I think there was 4 of them. 4 kickers
That's,
over 20.
I remember in previous seasons when you'd get one over 20, guys were fucking, their mind was blowing if someone scored over 20. So, only one of them wasn't rostered, which was Boswell.
He was the highest as well, I think.
Yeah, and he wasn't rostered.
Yeah.
So, no, I think upside down, but to an extent. I think kicker scores averages will be higher this year. And I think these kickers are so fucking good, and so many games are in domes now. They're not worried about weather, and I just think they would nearly gave Brandon Aubrey from Dallas a 71-yard field goal attempt. But they put him out there.
That was crazy when that was happening.
And he banged in a 68-yarder that didn't count.
Unbelievable.
So I just think these guys now, they're just so good at their position, and teams are trusting them to kick field goals more when they're in a bit of strife.
Yeah.
Just to get points on the board. What do you think?
I think their scoring comes down dramatically, but it may be elevated.
Dramatically? Just back to normal, or you think they're going to be a little bit elevated compared to
I think it comes back dramatically from week 1 as offenses. Yeah. I think we get a little bit better, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think a really big factor we're not considering here is the new kickoff rule. So a lot of those touchbacks are now starting 5 yards closer, starting at the 30-yard line. So it's more quickly putting more teams in field goal positions off broken drives. So I reckon that's a factor, and obviously that will persist for the rest of the year. So yeah, you might be right, Blairy. It might be a little bit of just sideways.
Sideways movement.
Certainly one to watch. Speaking of, and very similar to, the lowest number of passing touchdowns that we've seen in, I think, 6 or 7 years with the data that I was looking at.
Trending down, though, for 6 years.
Trending down, but not as much as it has over the last 2 years. It trended down, dipped last year, and has stayed at that level. I think it was something like 30, 35 passing touchdowns for the week, when previously we'd seen 60, 50, high 50s and 60s.
Yep.
So really, is it it's the touchdowns that we're seeing from a passing perspective, as well as the slowed pace of play. So I think it was well under the average for each team in terms of possessions, plays run, snaps, for week 1, as I said, compared to last year. So I think is it upside down or downside up? Generally speaking, offense. Is offense upside down, or is it right side up?
Look, I think you've got I think you're right in terms of week 1 always has its blips. And I think we're going to get a bit of regression from that. But I think a lot of that week 1 with that stems towards most of these guys not playing together in the preseason. Like 3-4 years ago, these guys would be playing a half of football twice in the preseason. Some of them, like Detroit, they didn't play a single starter for the whole preseason. So it's going to take, and same with Joe Burrow, and Chase held out, and Higgins is now injured. Like, a lot of these offenses haven't been together and clicking in preseason games. So it might take them 2, 3, 4 weeks to really get going.
Well, I think you named a few skill position guys there. I think one of the biggest things is the offensive lines as well. I don't know how much time it takes for those guys to gel either in the real thick of, game day trenches. But gee, some of their offensive line play looks shocking on the weekend, which obviously impacts the overall.
Yep.
So I think it's a little bit upside down, as you say, Blair. I think because of those factors, we'll start to see a trend up.
And I think
towards the mean.
What we were talking about the Savo, which I was watching that Aaron Rodgers interview about the way teams are now playing, in terms of they're basically playing a whole game with the nickel back on the field, where a nickel package used to probably happen 25% of snaps. And now, based off what Aaron Rodgers is saying, what he's saying, and obviously we're going to believe a quarterback who knows what the hell they're talking about more than us, he's saying that the nickel back position is being used by some teams 100% of the time now.
Well, some of them are some of the increases even in dime package, which is
nickel and dime, similar, just different level of where the defender is.
Yeah.
and it's forcing teams to not go deep, not pass intermediate over the middle, and it's making teams run the ball more on those early downs, which is actually burning clock. So you got to think, if you pass the ball and it's incomplete, the clock stops. If you run the ball, don't go out of bounds, the clock keeps running. So there's less plays happening in a game at the moment than previously. If you look at the play counts, they're down about 20% of plays. So that I don't think is helping the scoring either. Like whether the touchdowns go up from that, I just don't think it's helping scoring in general.
And that could be here to stay. You're saying?
It could be, yeah. Could be.
Speaking of pace of play, just quickly, it flashed up something. I have to confirm it. I don't know for sure, but I saw something that I think said the Bengals ran had 8 possessions on the weekend. Had 8 drives.
8 drives.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
And they barely scored.
They got 10 points. Yeah.
So, and again, I saw the New England stats on this, and Ramondre had about 38 carries.
Just dominate.
And again, if you're carrying the ball so much and the clock's not stopping, those quarters go like that Detroit Rams game in the first half when Monty was running it. The half went so quick. I'm like, it's fucking half time because all we did was run it.
Yep.
So it just makes a massive difference when the clock stops and when it keeps running.
Something to watch. Might be a little bit sideways. We'll see what happens. I'm going to run through, Blairy, just a couple of sort of player obscures. So guys we saw pop who maybe we weren't expecting, and I want you to very quickly tell me upside down, right side up, any commentary. Upside down or right side up, Jaden Reed.
Oh, my boy.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's a hard one because I think it's right side up in terms of the way they used him and having Jordan Love hit him with some targets, big touchdowns. They have designed plays for him, but upside down terms would be, well, Jordan Love's gone now. So I think as a player with Jordan Love, it was definitely trending in the right direction, but now it's probably gone a bit upside down, and I don't see that one happening. I think
it's right side up. He was the receiver who I would have targeted out of Green Bay within the draft. And
put him cheap.
Looks like he's the guy. Not that the others will definitely contribute, Christian Watson and those guys, but he looks the goods, I reckon.
Yeah.
We'll stick with a few receivers, upside down or right side up. Alan Lazard.
Oh, I gotta say upside down.
It's as far in the upside down as I've ever seen.
It's gotta be. And the only reason it wasn't is because Aaron Rodgers has his guys. Like if Randall Cobb was out there, he probably would have thrown him for no fucking reason, just because it's Randall Cobb.
Well, he hit him once on a blown play. And
yeah,
wasn't even from Rodgers.
Did you see that stat? Did you see that stat today? Aaron Rodgers now leads NFL in history of touchdowns after
free play.
Yeah, free play touchdown. So Aaron, then he's just deleted it. Knows the flag's gone, touchdown.
Yeah. Well, he did that. So Lazard got one of them on the free play.
Yeah.
And he got another touchdown from not even from Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's as upside down as it gets.
Yeah, I agree. Did someone bring him in?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I didn't say it. No.
So maybe everyone's onto it. That first drive with him and Garrett looked unbelievable, and then it sort of went by the wayside and weird shit started happening. The upside down took over.
Yeah.
Upside down or right side up, Jameson Williams.
Honest to God, as a Detroit man, this is the guy they drafted. This is the guy that was in Alabama. This is the guy that, if he didn't do his ACL, would have been the number one receiver in the draft that involved Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave. There was one other, whoever it is, who cares. But I honestly think his preseason was unbelievable. He was flying in preseason. First game comes out, he's put it on the field. He's put it in the stat columns. I think this is right side up, and I'm, as a Detroit fan, very, very excited to finally see it, because this is the guy we drafted at pick 13.
Yep.
Your opinion?
I think he looks good. And they want to scheme him in. I think that's the thing.
Which is what they've done. Which is what they did, yeah.
And he's a good player. So I think it's right side up. I think there might be a play. I don't know who picked him up. Is it Ty or Purds?
I know Purds drafted him with the stack, because he's the fat stacks. He's got golf, remember?
Oh, he's got golf. I don't know.
He's called me 3 weeks this week, like just talking about James. He never spoke about James Williams in his life.
Yeah, no, he's all
And he's just
What
so
happens-
excited.
Yeah,
Oh, he said, what are you already? Oh, no, like, fuck, if he was on waivers, how much would you spend for him? Oh.
Last wide receiver, upside down and right side up quickly. Alec Pierce, Colts.
Oh, that's got to be upside down again, that one. Like,
That game was upside down.
mate, did you see that fucking 3-kilometer pass from Anthony?
Off the back foot,
I was stuck in a group.
slipping. It was unbelievable. He had 9 passes.
Jesus Christ.
3 passes over. He had 3 passes over 50 yards for touchdowns.
Yep.
Might have even been just over the 50 yards. No, it was for touchdowns. 3 passes over 50 yards for touchdowns. There was only 3 quarterbacks last year that did that.
Unbelievable.
Even once. So
he had 2 other deep balls as well, similar to the Alec Pierce one, and it was both to AD Mitchell. One was overthrown. The other AD Mitchell just dropped cold for a 70-yard touchdown.
Yep.
So there could have been a bit more scoring.
a bit more on that.
I don't know. Is this Anthony Richardson? Is this him this year? Is it going to be 60 yards on the ground, beating people up, a touchdown, and then just completes 2 deep fucking passes and gets enough score? Because if you have a guy that can streak route, hot route, and have no safety come across, and he gets time and sees that, it's over. Patrick Mahomes can't throw a ball like that.
It was maybe the answer to all of this, the way that the defenses are scheming.
Fugazi, as you'd say.
Bomb it over their head and let you, I don't know, as far as you can, and let them run onto it. But Alec Pierce and the like, I think that might be a little bit upside down, Larry. Just a couple to go. Running backs. One running back I'll suggest here that we're going to say is upside down or right side up. J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, split backfield, busted off 2 big plays, which did bring his yards per carry up a shitload and make his score look a lot better. I think he had a 42-yard and a 63-yard run.
A couple of really big runs, yeah.
So look, when guys have those runs, it's a bit upside down. I think he had 8 carries for 10 yards before that or something. So
coming off major
injury. As a previous Ravens nuffy, what do you suggest? Like, he did look explosive again for someone off the Achilles.
So that team, their run scheme was very good. So we're saying that he had these busted plays. They were really well blocked.
Yeah.
He was able to get to the second level, beat them and go.
Yep.
The major thing about him is he looks explosive. Guys coming off the old tools tend to look like they've lost a step. He popped. His top end speed's never been his strong suit, but he was able to pop, explode through the hole, past the second level, and really accelerate on. So he looks healthy. I think as long as he can stay fit and doesn't start to pull up sore and niggly because of still in recovery on the end of that injury, I think it's a good play. The question is going to be around his, can he maintain the physical level consistently to do that week in, week out? I think he's in a good situation to do it. He just has to. So I think that one might be a bit right side up, surprisingly. But at the same time, he could fall in a heap next week, and it's just welcome, definitely.
I'd like to give you one, just one, a little bit of an interesting one.
Yep.
Upside down or right side up, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, it's a similar situation, but it's the other way, isn't it? The stinky.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up with JK, because it's mate. Did you see that video clip of him dropping back? He only had.
I've seen them. I've seen him. I mean, he's never been a real, agile pocket mover, but he looked like a genuine statue there. Had no push off that back foot. His back foot, yeah.
Kirk Cousins, statistically for his career, has been one of the best under center operators off a 3 and a 5-step drop back. They had him in the shotgun for 98% of the game. That's it. Like that. That's telling you a fucking story there, isn't it?
So yeah, what that tells me is that he's not right yet, and that's why I have faith. The question is, can he get better? But clearly, he's not. He's not right. He's not moving at all, and they're planning around that. His number one targeted player was some fucking Ray McLeod guy.
Oh, the old Ray McLeod.
Ray McLeod sounds like a wrestler or something. Yeah, it's a one to certainly watch, but it's definitely an early season downgrade on all the guys around him. Like Pitts's weekend was saved by a touchdown, which is all you want from a tight end. But is that replicable week over week off of like 3 targets? Drake London, again, he only had a couple of targets. Even Bijan, like it impacts the whole surrounding cast and supporting cast. And the question becomes, how long do they put up with it? Because they've got Michael Penix in the wings waiting.
Yep.
If they don't think he's going to, if they think he's done, we'll know pretty quickly because I think they'll make the change. Why wouldn't they?
Yep.
So,
I do agree.
Last couple, just quickly, a couple of really highly drafted players who underperformed. Firstly, upside down and right side up, CMC. We've spoken a little bit about it. But do you think that this is a legit problem, or was just the 1 week upside down?
I think there's a bit of a problem. Personally, I think
he's in the upside down. He's stuck.
Yeah, I think this isn't what you want out of a running back that has previously been injured and is the type of guy that I don't reckon plays injured. It's like, how some guys have to have an optimal 100% fitness to feel good and want to play.
Yep.
He looks like one of those guys. Doesn't look like the guy that had come in at 75% and just try and give it a go.
I reckon that's pretty rough. I reckon every running back has to play injured.
Probably.
That's why when they miss, you know that they're really sore. And so, or not right. Or it might just be early season precaution to get him right. Because again, why rush him? They're going to be pretty good. So I reckon that one turns around. What I'm terrified of with the calf is re-aggravation. So that's one I'm saying, well, can he actually get over it whilst they're trying to bring him back? If he can, happy days. But we know what the stats are with running backs coming off the 370 touch seasons, and they tend to miss games. So that's definitely one to watch. And lastly, Blair, another one close to your heart, upside down, right side up. I know that a few guys were targeting him in the draft. Only one could get them, which I think was Kitch, but Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Yeah, rough
upside down.
Start. Didn't get targeted a lot. I think this is just upside down. He's too good of a player. We, as you brought up, I think they played a bit of a defense, which they kept the middle of the field quite congested to stop. Like Goff plays his best when he can pass in the middle of the field to Laporta and Amon-Ra. So they actually did sort of stop them doing that, and they moved Amon-Ra out wide, which focused in and allowed them to actually use Jamison Williams a lot more. So it wasn't Damo out wide. So Amon-Ra sort of took the brunt of that. I think we get back on track, and that probably changes a bit as a team that didn't play together in the preseason, as we spoke about earlier. I think we get back on track. I just don't like. I think he had 3 targets. Like, that's just not going to happen. He's too good. He's just an elite player.
He is. I just wonder whether there's a bit of a blueprint, certainly early in the season, to take away that middle of the field from you guys, force Jared Goff to be uncomfortable in the pocket, because your line, whilst very good, is certainly better in run blocking as opposed to pass blocking. Not that they're bad, but they're just better at run blocking. So you guys have a run game that you can really lean on. So I wonder if Amon-Ra just sees that same volume or not. Look, he'll probably come back next week and have 15 targets and be fine. But certainly one to watch, because they schemed him out of the game, and you guys were almost happy because you're so good on the run.
Yes,
to take that. So, and you know what? Amon-Ra's a great blocker. So get him out there and have him block your running backs. All right, Blairy, that was upside down or right side up. Great segment. But it's time to move on to the nitty gritty, the week 2 matchups, Blairy.
Yep.
Who do we want to kick off with first?
I think we start off with.
That's right. Blairy's weekly MVP segment he's introduced last week. Remind us, Blairy, last week your MVP was who?
Now, it's Tua Tagovailoa, and he really let me down. I think Tyreek Hill getting arrested just threw the ballers. I think it really threw the ballers.
Calais Campbell, did you see the video? Calais Campbell got cuffed.
I don't know how you get that guy on the ground. He's ginormous.
It's like, I need the extra big.
They must have brought out the hula hoops to put around his head. Fucking hell.
Yeah, no.
My
best pick, but it was your first go at it, so we're expecting you to get incrementally better. So this week, Who
My
is your
MVP boys of week 2 is none other. I know it's not winter yet, but it's none other than Derek the Yeti Henry. Do that one more time. That was fantastic.
That was the Yeti. Him just snoring.
Oh, so I think he's got Las Vegas. Well, actually, are they playing? Do you know if you're playing in Vegas or are you playing at your joint?
It's at home.
It's at home.
It's in
Look,
Baltimore.
I think after last week, you guys bit stiff against the best team in the league, and I think you're just gonna fucking run the shit out of it.
I hope
I think
so.
you're gonna just jam it down the gullets, and the that's unbelievable. And I think the Yeti is gonna have one of those 2 touchdown games, 80 yards, but that's all you need. 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, the big score.
All you need.
So MVP week 2 is Derek Henry.
Henry's on my team, so we might as well start off with that matchup. I'm versing Jersey Sales.
Ellis. Oh, sorry, Jersey Sales, Creases, Hot Hand, Wet Dreams, Dodorio, Jersey Sales. I don't know what else we got. Shivers,
Waiver God now.
God, Dynasty God, just whatever you want to go with. Andy Ellis, yes.
Yeah, I'm versing him.
Look, you'd want to pull your finger out one because you were rubbish last week and you was lucky to get.
I mean, upside down or right side up. So very upside down.
Whatever you want to say, but I just think, yeah, you were rubbish. You need a lift. Andy stiff last week with this the third best score, only 0.2 off the second best score, I think he was. But he had the big score off his D and kicker. So is his team a little overinflated? Could be. Andy actually brings in Baker Mayfield this week, which I think
very lucky to have him on the bench.
Yeah, that was good.
Slot
yeah. Yep. I think this is going to actually be fairly close, and I'm a bit worried about Joe Burrow against Kansas in Kansas City. I just think that's still in a few more weeks, and that could burn you a bit. Outside of that, very close, and honestly could come down to a D and kicker again for this week. I'm calling honestly, if Mooney comes out and bangs in a 20 banger, and Harrison Butker doesn't, because Kansas just keeps scoring on Cincy's shit defense. That could be the difference.
As long as that score is coming from Paddy to Ray Rushy Rice, then we should be right.
I'm going to back yourself on I think you got your score is going to lift this week. I think Cup now wide receiver 1. If we started the draft again right now, Cup would be going at the 1-2 turn. That's my call.
Yeah, arguably, yep.
And I just think Andy, I like his team, don't get me wrong, but Kirk looked nowhere near it. He's got London. Stephon Diggs had the lowest A dot you'll ever see last week and scored about 18 because he had 2 touchdowns.
Double tutties, yeah.
They were about 2-yard throws. So outside of that, he did absolutely nothing. And Zay Flowers isn't getting me toey. So I just think I'm going to go with Az. I don't dislike Andy's team by any stretch. I just want to see his score without getting those massive D and massive kicker scores. I just need to see an improvement there. And I just think you're going to have an improvement as a whole. You just had a bit of an opening week that was a bit poor.
Yeah. Look, for me, the matchup comes down to my quarterbacks, hopefully getting some decent scores versus Amex versus Jersey Sales running backs. He's got Brees Hall and Taylor, who are both just complete bell cows. So if those guys go off, it's going to be hard to scrape that back. I need to put a little bit of margin on his quarterbacks if possible. And then the rest is sort of toss of a coin, see where the stuff lands. So certainly not super confident coming into this week, but I am hoping for a little bit of regression in terms of some of the guys scoring, especially in the touchdown department.
I hope hot hand creases, Shivers, Alice wins, by the way. If you're listening out there, Andy, I've given you a thumbs up. I hope you do win, but I'm just going to tip Aaron. Because we don't want Aaron to win, let's be honest. Cody already messaged me and said, fuck that cunt.
Yeah, and that's why the gods hear that, and they listen, and they know that I'm due. my sacrifices and my prayer will be answered.
Next
All right,
matchup,
on to you,
boys.
Barry.
Top,
Worms
you want to do
got-
myself? I am versing Kitchback. Yeah, run me through it.
Look, the Kitchbacks team, I think,
Bounce back.
is very good. It's got some holes in it. Versus your team, I think you've really hit on a few guys who maybe we had some question marks coming in on. Lamar Jackson for Kitch, we know is great, but he's got the hole with Caleb Williams. Like, he looks like he's going to take some time to become a thing, and he's got Kirk Cousins on his bench, who's just as bad. You can't start either of them with confidence. He's got St. Brown, who we know had a down week last week. Sorry, that's just one, like, is it a trend or not? He's brought in, I don't know if he played him last week, but he's brought in George Pickens.
He's got him on the field.
Looks good last week, but he's a player for me, as I've mentioned before. I think he's going to be really up and down.
Patrick Surtain.
That offense as well. They want to run. He played only like 60-something% of snaps because whenever they went heavy, he was off the field. So there's a couple of real question marks there. Versus, as I said, with your team, I think Kyler Murray will be fine and probably will continue to get better. Daniels, as long as he's running, he's going to
die, but like hopefully he doesn't.
Williams dominated touches. Walker looked unbelievable as
Kenny is. I'm a bit nervous. Questionable with another abdominal injury, so that's got me a smidge nervous. But
I'll play through abdominal injury unless that's a really bad one, which we probably would have known about already. Montgomery looked great. That running offense looked unbelievable. Tyreek Hill. Malik Neighbours looked very good. It's just that he's got Daniel Jones running the ball. The thing is, this week, fantastic matchup.
Washington, surely they can get going. The Giants,
they're shit. And have been even coming into last year from a really good matchup for throwers and catchers of the ball. So we might see him, really announce himself to the league. McBride was good as far as routes run.
At 11 targets.
He was really good. So I think your team I feel a lot safer about as far as floor. We'd need to see some special stuff from Kitch's team. He's got Jacobs and Mixon there, which is a great.
Yeah, Mixon was fantastic. I was shocked.
For him, those guys, if they really stand up, give him a chance, and he just needs to get a couple of other hits. But I think I feel more safe about your list to get a comfortable win here.
I hope you're right, mate. I'll also tip myself. Tie against Cam in the next matchup, boys, which is looking like a bit of a ripper, really.
Bloody close projection.
Good luck picking this one.
As close as it gets. I think it's interesting looking at Blair's team because we were knocking his running backs coming out of the draft. I remember in draft night saying, I don't think they're that bad. I think they're, as far as where he got them, they were right. He's got no depth, but Kamara and Stevenson certainly look like players. And across the rest of his team, he's got Richardson, who we saw did, a lot of points off of not a hell of a lot of activity. Super efficient. Ayuk will get better. Chase will get better, given a little bit more activity.
Ayuk dropped a tutty as well last week.
He did too. So I think he's got Purdy's probably, his ceiling's going to be a little bit impacted. I thought Tank Dell's usage was actually quite nice on the weekend, so I expect him to have bigger games. And in that flex spot, it's probably like the perfect sort of play. You go over the other side, I still am concerned about Fat Stack's quarterbacks. Jared Goff didn't look great last week. Was that the upside down or right side up? I don't know, but I don't think he's got like a huge ceiling. I don't like what I saw from Fields either, or that offense. They won. They didn't score a touchdown. They kicked how many field goals? 6?
Oh, it was ridiculous. They did set Fields up to not fail, though. Our mate, what's his name? The coach again?
Arthur Smith.
He actually had him rolling out in bootlegs for the majority of his snaps, which actually is where he does his best work on the move. They didn't have him standing in the pocket. So I actually thought that was smart by old mate Dennis Allen. Not Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen, bloody hell, he's shit too.
Yeah.
I thought that was smart. So, look, he's got a good floor. He ran bloody 80 yards or something. So, I think his floor is pretty safe. I just don't know if he's going to pop off with that team.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned about those guys. The rest of his team, I think Bojan's going to have a good floor. That offense will determine a lot of how it goes. Achane with a questionable designation at the moment, so that's definitely a watch and see, but he looked like he was going to have an increasing workload when he's in there. He's the number one. It's a great play. He's got your man Williams, Jefferson, Metcalf.
Williams.
I think I have to go with the Fat Stacks here.
Go with Fat Stacks.
Sorry, with Ty here, just because I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. He's got winners at all the positions, and I expect Chase and Ayuk to come on both with their holdouts, a little bit more time with the team. We expect a little bit more chemistry. So unless Fat Stacks can make up that ground at quarterback, I'm going to tip Ty.
No, I will too, and I think Achan's a wait and see too. So that would be
correct. If Achan's out, who's he bringing in?
Pollard.
Probably not a bad play.
Yeah.
But their coach did come out, and again, this is coach speak, so who knows, but said that they would like to even up the volume distribution between him and Tajay. So that's just an interesting one to say, will he continue? Because he looked good last week, but they've always said they want that to be a committee. So
yeah.
Interesting.
Next one, we've got Kim Jong Mak against the newly cashed up man, Jack Leahy.
And he slotted his man straight in too, which is not bad from him because he was running with either Najee Harris or Jalen Warren.
Yeah, don't mind it.
Too, and he's put in Mason. Now, if CMC sits or is on a little bit of a limited snap count, it's going to be a great play in that team because, as I said, he's got the steal of the draft in Josh Allen potentially. CJ Stroud, who looked pretty good, and we expect to get better as offenses click and gel more. Isaiah Pacheco in a very powerful offense in a game which should need points on the board. Mason, if he plays, we saw how good he was. DJ Moore, I think his ceiling's probably come down a little bit after seeing that offense early, so it's interesting. Marvin Harrison Jr. So I really don't know what to make of that.
No.
Spoke to you about that earlier today. Watched some of his tape. He just looked
slow too.
Slow, not explosive. They had him running routes that are not. It's like downfield man beaters, nines and sail routes. Anytime he did have any, or out-breaking routes, it didn't look explosive or decisive. So I don't know if he's carrying an injury or what's going on there, but he needs to get better before.
I look at this matchup and go, good luck to Jack because Amac's got Gibbs, James Cook, and Saquon Barkley. Like that's the best three running backs now.
And Mike Evans.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and which we all just disrespect.
Think about Mike Evans.
Disrespect him every year.
But did you hear there was the sounds of the game stuff that I listened to from that game.
And it had Baker Mayfield talking.
Saying, if he's out there one-on-one, I'm just going to throw it to him. It's like a cheat code.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones. I talk about Blair. Targets earned in the NFL are based on separation. If you can get separation, you will earn targets. It sounds like there's a relationship there where he goes, I don't care if you manned up. I'm just going to throw you the ball and go and win it.
If he's, as he said, if it's single coverage without a high safety coming across, he said, it's coming your way. I don't care.
So it's a really good situation. And, yeah, we underestimate him every year, but it's a great play. I think I'll look at that. I think Andrews gets involved this week as well.
Yeah. That'll
you can double, take him out by doubling and tripling him, but I doubt they will. Las Vegas, that is. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with
I'm comfortable with AMAC. Look, I
projection would suggest the same.
Jack needs CMC not to play for me to look at it and go, he's any chance because he needs Mason to come on and score 20 plus again.
Yep.
So I think I think AMAC wins this. AMAC's a nice team.
The only difference maker for me is going to be like, can Allen put on a real gap?
Yeah.
Josh Allen is a difference maker. If he comes out and puts out another 30 or 40, and there's a little bit like that's some ground to make. Same with Stroud. I think, he's a guy that could put up 20. So if you can get 50 points from your quarterbacks, that's a bit of a gap to make up. But I think across the board, give it AMAC's just too strong.
Last game of the week, boys. Gibbo versus Himothy Code. Yeah, well, Gibbo possibly missing CMC. I don't know what he's gonna be playing Etienne and Dobbins, you'd assume.
Comes in. Now he's got a pretty low projection at 119. If Etienne comes in, that projection drops by 6. So he's got a projection with a full squad of 113. That's grim.
He's a worry, and I just think the Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, I don't know where he got them. They were quite highly drafted. I don't know if that's going to work, and I'll be very worried about Deshaun Watson. I know it's his QB2, but it's just a bit of a worry, especially when he's linked together with the stack.
They look no good, and I've gone on the defense against them. In saying that, Cooper was open a lot in that game.
Well, he dropped the touchdown at the end of the game. Yeah,
but Watson just didn't look likely getting to him. Now they're going to have a lot of review. They'll have training. They'll look at the film. So, part of me thinks Cooper's this guy as well that can come out and have a 200-yard, 2-touchdown game. So it's definitely one to watch. wear it for another week, see what happens. But it is definitely a little bit concerning mostly based on Watson's ability now. It just looks like he doesn't have it.
I think
post fingers, pre-fingers. Sorry.
I think Garrett Wilson bounces back, has a big game. Devontae Adams, for me, he's going to be very frustrated in this game. I think you boys are going to really bracket cover him. You're not going to let him touch it. So he's going to get frustrated. I can't get around Gibbs' team yet. I think it's not in good nick at the moment in its current form.
Even Lawrence. I mean, that second half, they were just evaporated, gone. No offense.
Yeah. So, and then versing Cleveland, who have probably a top 5 defense in the league. Yep. So then you go across to Timothy, Dak, fine, Tua, fine. Probably not the best matchups you want for them to verse, but I think they're fine.
Yeah, still fine.
I don't love Tim's running backs, but they're going to produce enough.
I like Connor. I mean,
I think
he's almost the Mike Evans of running backs. I reckon, as long as he's healthy, he's absolutely startable.
And White he sucks at running the ball, but he's mid to catching the ball.
They throw it to him as a receiver, so
works fine.
Yep.
He's got the Dak CD stack, like that just wins games. AJ Brown, beast. The tight ends, I'm just not too worried about anyone's tight ends this week. They're like every tight end drafted in our league, I think, scored under 5 points week 1.
It was a bad.
So I can't get a read on that, but I don't think anyone's winning with their tight end.
Quick one, then tight end scoring, upside down or right side up?
I think upside down, but I am just worried that tight end scoring outside of really Kelsey the last 5-6 years has been pretty fucking brutal. So I think it's very
crowded. There was a lot of highly projected tight ends this year, especially with the expected regression of Kelsey. It was Laporta coming up, Andrews is healthy. It was going to be a good year for tight ends. I just wonder whether that's a trend or it was a bit of a blip, a bit of an upside down moment.
Like Evan Ingram last year, he has the most catches for a tight end in the NFL. Week 1, he had 1 catch.
Yeah.
For 5 yards.
That offense was, again, they looked like they really wanted to run the ball. And again, it's an early round thing, a way of defeating the nickel packages or, combating the nickel packages. But they just didn't look that likely throwing the ball.
No.
So
that's it. I think, Timothy for
me. Timothy, I'm going. We're in lockstep, it seems, with a lot of our tips. So that means we'll get 2 or 3 of them wrong, no doubt.
Yep.
But it's exciting. Week 2 is the teams that get 2 losses, the pressure just starts to build.
I'll tell you what you get when those 2 losses come. You get a couple of brings and you look down at your phone and there's a trade request waiting in the league.
Yes.
That's when they start rolling in, mate. 0-2.
Circling.
And the trades begin. But this is the area, the start of the season, it just goes so quick. Like in the blink of an eye, it's going to be week 4 or 5, and there's going to be a clear 2 on the top and a couple down the bottom that are struggling, and we're going to be like, what's going on? We're entering week 6. Like, it goes so quick.
Flies by. So, I mean,
we got a game in just over 24 hours.
Yep.
48 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 days. Yeah. By the time they get this, it'll be 24 hours, mate.
Yeah, so
you can get it out.
Yeah. There we go.
I think everyone still has belief in their team after 1 week. After 2, the doubt can start to creep in. And so, it'll be interesting to see who. I mean, out of our tips, it would mean that Adam potentially drops to 2 losses. Jack dropped to 2 losses.
Andy,
did Purds win? No, you have Purge dropping to 2.
And
Andy. So there could be 4 teams based on our tips again. Very wrong generally.
But if our tips they're all versing.
If our tips go the right way, it would be.
You're dead right. There literally could be.
It could be the top.
It could be 5 teams.
5, yeah, Kitch goes as well. Yeah,
5 teams. It's all lines up. 5 teams, 2-0 or 0-2. Which is
our tips go that way. Imagine that. Imagine a fully split ladder.
Jesus, that hasn't. I can't remember the last time I've seen that. But again, it'll probably end up being 1-1 everywhere this week.
That's the way it works. But based on our tips, it's interesting little insight. We'll come back next week and check how well we did.
That's the time. It's come to that time, Aaron.
There it is, Blair. Time to wrap it up. Time to finish. As we always sign off with here on the Authority. And Gibbo, listen here. Be good to the gods, and may the gods be with you. Until next week.
See you, boys. Peace.
Mr. Trump, I'm Mr. Trump, I'm Mr. Trump, I'm Mr. Trump, I'm Mr. 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 I'm a Trumpster motherfucker.